Hello, it's Etharal here, and today we are back with our Stellaris Twilight of the Imperium mod, where we have been playing as the Tau Empire. We've came off a few successful wars and looking to certainly expand our lands a lot further now. We're going to also as well try in this episode to sort out some of these actual sectors that we've got. They are quite a bit larger than we would probably like and maybe have a bit more power than they probably should, especially with the fact that one of our actual guys have started to get a faction. So it's a faction claiming for independence, which is not something that we want, so we are going to have to look at trying to spend a bit of our influence to reduce some of these sectors down and try and just sort of level them out a little bit more, particularly some of the earlier ones which did grow quite big. Now that we can colonize extra planets, we very much want to make sure that they don't, come to threaten us any further. We are just going to, just testing this out. I mean, I don't know on earth why I did that. Basically it was just so I've used some influence for no real reason. Here though, we are also as well going to be clearing out the rest of these guys from here to look at finally maybe exploring and maybe even expanding into this final bit of the land. It's going to be something we probably will need to get into there pretty quickly, or else it will be a case that they are going to, those guys down to our southeast are going to try and actually take that land themselves instead, which is not something that we can exactly allow them to do, but we'll see how that one goes. Here as well, you can see the Sigma Draconis sector, which has got a lot of options for expanding further and certainly is something that we are going to look at doing. So we are first of all going to expand this sector. The reason being is we want to try and keep these sectors a little bit smaller than we did have them in the past, and so we're going to set up a new sector here and then expand the Sigma Draconis sector. So rather than what we would have done in the past of having those as one whole big sector, we're instead going to split it down into two smaller sectors. I think it's going to be the better way, and make sure that way they're not going to get too powerful or anything like that. We certainly have enough plans to be able to support as pretty much as many sectors as we do want. We're also going to put this fleet together. This fleet now being 14,800. It's getting closer towards the actual sort of limits that we were at with our other sectors, so quite a nice little situation to find ourselves in that respect. And going to move in our science ships to begin exploring further into these worlds. One is try and look at as well putting up some new colony ships. You can see we are building them at Macron and Hadracodatus. And yeah, Hadracodatus, let's go with that one, close enough. So we are getting some new colony ships. We're going to definitely be investing on those to look at trying to claim even more land, or space I suppose would probably be the more accurate way of putting it, and then we can look at expanding these sectors even further. We are really quite a powerhouse in this area now, and so I think the main aim is going to have to be those Eldar. We need to try and figure out a way to try and actually get their planets to cede to us. I have been trying to have a look into that, and I seem to be struggling to find any way to do it. If anybody does have any suggestions, please do be sure to let me know. Way I am thinking of doing it is getting them to abandon the planets in a war, victory goals, and then sending in some colony ships straight after to go and colonize them. That would be the plan at least. We'll see how that one does turn out. I think it should go okay, but there is a couple of variables I don't know that could happen. It's stuff that I need to look at, basically working that one out of exactly what it is that I'm going to do and where I'm going to go with that one. I certainly want to get them to get rid of Kai, because I really wanted Kai to be able to actually expand those guys a little bit further, which is less than ideal, but could be an awful lot worse I suppose. There does seem to be these guys who've popped in a couple of planets as well, which is something we're going to have to look at how we're going to deal with them in the future. We're not too thrilled, shall we say, about what they are trying to do moving into our lands, and we are going to have to remind them that at the end of the day, this is the Tau Empire's lands, and you can't just be taking stuff from us. We may also as well look at doing some vassalization wars. Reason being for that is then with vassalization wars, we can then take those vassals and then turn those vassals into parts of our empire later on down the road. 10 years down, you can then look at bringing them in as a sector and just as basically planets of the actual empire itself. So I think that's a road we might go down with those guys that we recently liberated from one of the earlier wars, and basically split down one of the enemies that was on our borders to split into two separate different people. So we might go for either the ones that we've liberated, as they do have an ethics similar to us, so they're more likely to be, bring it onto our side a little bit better and a little bit happier, although we may also as well try and do it where they actually just, we attack the guys who already don't like us, because there's no sense in, attacking somebody who does like us if there is somebody that doesn't like us. It seems a bit of a, would be seen like a bit of a strange one to decide to do it the other way around, really. We'll like I say, we'll have to see with that one. So there is plenty of options, and if we could expand further, then that would be brilliant, and we could, maybe even, who knows, expand into taking over the whole sector. That would be the ultimate goal for this game, and as we are, particularly at the minute, moving further and further towards the late game, where everywhere has pretty much been colonised, or anywhere that you'd want to colonise has been colonised. That is the sort of situation we're finding ourselves in at the minute, and so I think there are going to be some options for what exactly we can do when we do reach that point. Hopefully that should be coming up in the near future, and then we will shift the actual focus of this Let's Play series from colonisation into pretty much all-out war. Very appropriate for the Warhammer setting, as in the Warhammer setting, as anyone who's ever played the game knows, that one of the taglines is, in the future there is only war. Nice, simple and pretty clear, that one. So here we're just going to have a look around, and I think what I'm going to do is I am going to set up a new sector here. I'm going to get this one and take some lands off this other sector. Basically take off that little bit that's jutting out up at the top. So that's going to be, you're looking at a good sort of 100 or so influence to be able to take all of the ones that we would really, ideally we want to take off them. But that, in doing that, we will though build ourselves a sector which is already pretty good. Well, more than pretty good, it will be pretty... well, very, very good, basically. We're also, as well, though, going to look at trying to replace that. So they are going to lose some planets, but in return, what we'll do is we will move these guys through to be able to colonize some more planets, which are already in the sectors. That way, they're not really losing out on anything. They're still gaining stuff. And then we can look at shrinking down those sectors later on if we do need to. Even more, we'll take that as and when we sort of need to. That's basically going to be the plan. So, if you do want to see all of that, though, do be sure to subscribe here at EGN. We're putting out videos regularly. I'm going to try and get things up a little bit more than I have been recently. I have had to slow down, unfortunately, but, we'll see about trying to get some more of these videos coming out to you a little bit more regular, at least. That is the hope. And so, coming back to here, though, we're just having a look at exactly how this fleet's going. The second fleet getting quite considerably larger. We do have, well, we're at like half of, just over half even, of the naval fleet that we could have, so we've got plenty enough to be able to look at expanding, get the second fleet to the same size as the first fleet, and maybe even send the first fleet back and look at expanding that even further. It'd be a very, very good thing to get to that, and we are also as well going to build a load of colony ships there. The reason being is there's a lot of plans, a lot of options for where we want to go to in terms of our expansion, and we want to basically make sure that we are expanding. We don't want to give our enemies a chance to, get a little bit more powerful than us or anything like that. We want to make sure that we are going to be the powerhouse in this area. And so that is going to be the aim at the minute. We are looking very much at the minute at expanding this sector, getting it set up to being something that is going to be respected and will basically just be feared. Would be about the only real way of putting it. There's, a lot, so there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colony ships already out in the space, ready to colonize and start expanding ourselves by, another 5 planets. So we really are getting a lot larger than what I normally do in terms of an actual space era. As I mentioned many times in the past, I tend to like small, very dense things, focusing on research. The way it's working at the minute, though, it does seem like the best way to do research is to expand a lot further, basically. Here you can see, though, we have gone into a deficit, though, in terms of money. That's not something I'm, especially worried about. It's minus 14. I'm at 47,000. So, I think I can expand a little bit further and not really have to worry about that too much. Although we are still going to just, keep an eye on it to make sure that, it doesn't drop down too far. We don't want it, becoming completely useless or anything like that at all, to the point where we're going to be losing actual into negative and we owe money. Which is, it's not going to be a situation that anybody wants to be in. Certainly, when you're at this size of an empire, it would start to likely get people, judging by how, the Paradox games work and 4X games generally work. If you're going to be in minus money, you're going to start getting people, your citizens going to become more and more unhappy. If they become more unhappy, then, well, that's that's really not a good situation that we want to be in. And here we're going to get the hyperlane mapping technology. We seem to have gotten it quite late. I've got it quite early in other games that I have played, and it just speeds up my warp travel when I'm traveling along one of those actual hyperspace lanes. Not really a benefit to us in a massive sense, as we aren't limited by the lanes, but still not a terrible one to have. It's still something that is worth actually picking up. It's relatively cheap and easy as well, to be honest. And so you can see that we are now once again back straight up plus 33, so we're in a really good situation in terms of the colonies, and we're going to look at continuing to get even more. And there we go, figured might as well just wait for that one. So yeah, let's set this one up as well, and that is, so it's going to be I'm not even going to pronounce that, but from the planet that we've just claimed, which does look like it actually has another planet that we could actually colonize as well. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 planets for the EAM system is what we're going to set it up as. We're going to set it up using that one that we are colonizing that isn't part of a sector yet, and then we will expand it further into the other sector, which name I cannot remember. So just having a look here, just trying to get an idea of sort of a feel of exactly how large it is that our people are. They are, well, very large would be about the way of putting it, and so there is going to be a lot of options for where we can go from here, which is always what you want to see. So here you can see we've set up this sector. We are going to take a hit to our money by giving them some money, but by having these areas as ones that are already, actually making money, they are actually profitable and useful for them. We're gonna give them to them. They'll be happy, I'm sure, with that and everything. Set these guys up as well with an actual, unity statue and everything, just to make sure everything is, nice and happy, and these people don't want to be, just attacking us all over the place or anything. Well, not attacking us, sorry, getting more unhappy all over the place. We want to make sure that they do keep as happy as possible. And so there we go. We are now going to set that up. So we're going to begin expanding that one. It does cost influence to take planets off sectors, which isn't great. I mean, it makes sense. I'm not complaining about it in that way. It's just, a bit of a shame, because it does mean that it is going to cost us more to actually be able to look at expanding further, which is less than what we want. Here, just having a look, trying to pull up some ideas for exactly what we can do for this war goal with them. I'm thinking going past the Liberate and maybe going down to the abandoned planets, so telling them to abandon the Asgard area, the Dorian, the Philima sector, and then once we have expanded, these basically, and we've gotten them to abandon them, we'll move in and we'll claim them, and then if we actually claim them, then, that's going to be potentially another sector, but that is going to be a sector that we will very, very, very slowly probably have to creep forward. We'll have to do a lot very quickly and then stop for a while, wait for the truces to run out, and then hit them again with another war and do it all over again. So it is a bit of a difficult one. It's kind of a difficult tightrope one, having to walk there, but it is a goal that we are still going to look at doing in the future regardless. So I'm going to leave it there for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video of the Stellaris Let's Play. If you did enjoy it, do be sure to subscribe here at eGen for all future videos and notifications when they do come out. I've been Etharal, and I shall see you next time here at eGen.